FEMCOM has decided to support the cassava project because many women participate in that value chain. Women really want to do what's meaningful to their communities, mainly what feeds their families. And cassava, besides being marketable, it's also the feed that they have to feed their children in the house.
We are seeing that cassava is number 2 in terms of importance on the tubers after potatoes. And we are seeing that it's the most important crop in terms of food security as well as provision of incomes to our smallholder farmers.
And it's a form of big market. It could support 60 million within COMESA countries, but 600 million outside the COMESA. So there's a big value addition to many markets around the world, nationally and internationally. It's a highly required product.
We had cassava in plate, but we could not process. We couldn't know how to process, couldn't know how to formalize our cassava, and maybe had that understanding is supposed to be consumed in different ways. That was the challenge we are having. Another challenge was that we didn't have equipments for processing, for drying our cassava.
I used to get problems, especially when I get my cassava from the shamba. Drying cassava was a problem to me. Because when I used to take my things in the market, at times my customers, they started complaining.
At COMESA level, there's a lot of importation of cassava-based products that are used in the manufacturing sector. And this can be one of the areas that we can invest in to enhance the economic standing of our member states. So as COMESA, what we have done is that we have developed a cluster project which was designed in 2013, basically to work on the economies of our farmers so that we can look at their strength, bring them together. You provide the requisite training, connect them to the markets, and also connect them to the providers of finance.
At the moment, we are focusing with Zambia and Kenya. However, there's also other projects happening in Burundi, Uganda. We also have Malawi and Zimbabwe.
In Kenya, what we did was that we had to engage Farm Concern International, who are the major leaders on issues of cassava in Kenya. And we focused on a number of districts in the eastern Kenya as well as western Kenya. And our main thrust for this activity was to profile the farmers, connect them to markets, as well as providers of agro-processing equipment. And we have done it with the purpose of ensuring that the farmers are able to produce value-added commodities, as well as connecting them to the markets, because the markets are so wide and the impacts of the projects are also quite wide on the ground.
COMESA, through Farm Concern, came in and strengthened us with a technology on how to do the processing of cassava, of which Farm Concern did with us production. So within this county of Busia, production is of cassava, and Tangakona is doing processing.
Yeah, we were taught how to keep our records in the group. This is how you do your records, especially on the value addition. This is now business. You have to keep records properly. Each and everything you have to note down. It's pen and paper. Without that, it will fail. When I used to take my things, at first, when I used to take my things, I just sell my things and I don't keep anything. But since COMESA came in, I used to take my things, I keep my records. I keep my records properly, I check on them, everything started now flowing properly. Yeah, and I expanded now my market here at home, up to the cities.
We thought that in western and eastern parts of Kenya, they plant a lot of cassava, and what could we do with this crop then? So we identified the challenges that the smallholder farmers were facing, like low production, lack of market, post-harvest handling issues. As you know, cassava has issues of cyanide that needs to be managed. And so through FEMCOM, we trained the smallholder farmers on harvest and post-harvest management, processing and value addition, market linkages, financial management and record keeping to be able to work with cassava as an enterprise and thereby get income for their families.
I personally, I benefited so much, and I've also helped other persons to benefit from these particular trainings, which I got from COMESA. That I've been able to train groups, I've been able to train trainers to do value addition.
I've mobilized most of the youths to come. I show them what to do it because I'm like a TOT now. I have one here who is really doing it with the other one. They're really doing it. One has gone to school. They like that work. It's really helping them. And with that, they've moved somewhere. In fact, she's now selling that product right now. After me showing her, it's helping her. She's now selling mandazis, the cassava mandazis, and with some things.
Nimefurahia sana siku ya leo, maana kama ingekuwa mama, sijui maisha yangu yangekuwa wapi. Ndio nilikuwa nasoma, but kulingana na ukosefu wa hela sikuweza kumalizia. Ndiposa nikaona kuliko kutangatanga mtaani ama kuiga mifano za watu wengine, at least nikuwe na mipango tofauti.
The value added products from cassava are certified by KEBS, Kenya Bureau of Standards. Anybody can eat from them. They can even be eaten or sold from the other countries.
Our focus on cassava comes from the fact that this specific plant doesn't only serve the women, but it also serves the youth, the community, and everyone has some kind of benefit.
I work here as a sales lady. I buy this cassava from them, and then I look for the market, whereby I go to Malaba. If I fail there, I move to Eldoret. If I've been given the order, then I go to Nakuru, whereby I sell for them.
In Busia, we're having many women entrepreneurs in cassava to be able to come together and produce about 10,000 tons of cassava per month to feed into the Nairobi company. And this has really changed lives and not only alleviating poverty, but also owning businesses where they feel they could sustain the next generations and their families and their communities. So it has really changed lives.
I thank God for COMESA, which came through Farm Concern and helped us, opened our minds. In fact, they did a good thing, because I'm trying to maybe look at and think about if it was not with them, how could it be?
Exactly, it has changed my life because I have a room in my home, because I can also provide food for my kids, can also pay school fees. In fact, I've also bought a motorbike because of making my traveling easier. It has made me also to help the other women to put in group. I brought them in group so that we make a group that we can work together.
So that we share these stories but network the women across the nations so they become successful stories as they support each other, but also become sustainable through their own locally resistant and resilient markets to really support the economies of their nation, to become part and parcel of the government development plans for their nations.
We are calling upon women to accept, start to do production of cassava, processing, and then finally value addition. I eat cassava, I get energy. I sell cassava, I get money. I look at cassava, I'm seeing everything.